Just wanted to show that cool little intro that they did there. Of course, it does make some of us sad because we go, oh, I remember a time when that name meant something. Oh well. As I like to say to those who like to, there are times where we go, man, I remember when this company used to do this and this and make this game and this game, and I love this company and such. The companies may come and go, the personnel may come and go, but the games we fell in love with, well, they're still here. And, well, depending on how the game works, they will stay here for as long as we hopefully can get them to stay. Some we have to either redo or such to help preserve them, but yeah. So while BioWare has changed since it first made this franchise and others, compared to the days when it used to make not only the first Mass Effect, but also Dragon Age Origins, as well as Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, which is something I'd like to do someday. I'll be looking into that. But then again, I always keep hoping that maybe they'll actually look if they've done a remaster of this, which I was asking for. But wouldn't it be nice if maybe Knights of the Old Republic got a bit of a tune-up in terms of how it ran and such, to be able to run a little nicer and such? I mean, it's hard to even run it on decent resolution these days. You know, the smaller resolutions. Wouldn't you guys like to be able to have a remaster of Knights of the Old Republic kind of like this and be able to run it on, not necessarily, higher resolution, nicer graphics, run at higher frame rate and such, less bugginess, stuff like that. I know there's a whole debate on whether or not we need a remake of it or not, but I'm okay with it when it comes to the technical standpoint of let's make it where it runs better. And that's kind of a nice little lead into this. While Mass Effect 1 may not necessarily needed a remake, in some ways it kind of did. Don't get me wrong, I do love the game, but it was kind of rough around the edges. But let's go ahead and actually get into the first game. Yes, welcome to my playthrough. Hello, everyone. Before I got off on a little discussion there. PapaNeeks here, and welcome to yet another playthrough here on my channel of one of my absolute favorite video game franchises of all time, Mass Effect. I've already done full runs of this on the channel, and of course I've played through these games multiple times on my own. I know these games so well. Although 3, there are a couple things I didn't get to fully investigate and check out, such as like a renegade run of 3, but anyways. I got some way through. I didn't finish all the way, but hey, that's kind of what the intention is with this edition, isn't it? So, anyways. It's one of the things I do love when it comes to a franchise like this, but also with a special edition like this, a remaster. This is coming from someone who has, of course, played these multiple times, but I want to ask you this. How many of you know either a video game series or a TV show or a movie series, something that you have seen many times, something that you know very well, extremely well? Like you can say, oh, I know this series as well as the back of my hand, stuff like that. But then you meet someone who's never experienced it before. And then you get to see them experience it for the first time. How many of you out there get some kind of joy out of that? I have experienced that myself with other things. I was someone who met some close friends of mine who had never seen the Star Wars movies before. So I came over to the house on I think it was like a monthly basis, and we would sit down and watch one of the Star Wars movies. And I would basically get to introduce them to this. I got to watch it with them. I got to pause at times and explain certain things, and they loved it, and they became big fans. And it was just something awesome about seeing people get to experience something for the first time that I knew very well. And it's the same thing with other games, like this, for example. I've been seeing various different gamers, on Twitch or YouTube and such, get to experience this franchise for the first time because of this Legendary Edition. They just never, I guess, got around to it before. And so this came out, and they decided to experience it for the first time. And there's just something really nice and special, a wonderful feeling when you get to see someone experiencing a series like this for the first time, when it's something that you know so well and love. I just wanted to share that. That's just something I've been enjoying recently, holding off on playing this myself, getting to see others check it out for the first time. But I'm also pointing this out to let you guys know that this is, of course, not a blind run. I know these games very well, which means I'm also going to more than likely notice various different changes that they made to this. They did make a point of trying to show that it wasn't just a graphical tune-up. They were trying to make some various different kinds of improvements, especially when it came to the first game. How it ran, because, as I said, the first game was rough around the edges. For those of you who don't remember, the first Mass Effect game came out, and it was an Xbox 360 exclusive. And, yeah, it ran fine, but it still had issues. Then they ported it to PC, and yeah, it had issues. And it wasn't until years later they finally got it over to PS3, and it still had issues. 2 ran, of course, very well. 2, in my opinion, is one of the best sequels ever, and one of the best games ever. In fact, well, there's something special about 2, but I'll save that for when we actually sit down and start 2. For now, we're just kind of talking about 1. This was part of the promotional material for this Legendary Edition, that they wanted to make various different improvements, not just a graphical remaster. They wanted to sit down and try to help do things like rebalance the combat, make some tune-ups and changes and such, to try and make it feel better, which I am all for. I'm not one of those people who's like a purist who's like, it's perfect the way it is, you shouldn't touch it or anything like that. I don't know how many people are like that out there, but when something, in my opinion, runs kind of clunky because of the times and such, or older hardware or software, or whatever the case may be, and you have the opportunity to actually improve it and make it run better and such, I'm all for it. So there may be a bit of learning, but hey, I'm probably going to leave all the stuff on like tutorials and such, just so that I can make sure that if there's any tutorials about new stuff that they added, that I can be able to catch it. But this is one of the main differences between this run and the run I've done before, is we're going into this with the perspective that we know these things, like the things from these games. This is not a blind run. This is something where we know what's going to happen, we know what's coming, and we'll be able to also notice the differences and point them out as we go along. So, if that's not the kind of run you want to experience here, this may not be the playthrough for you, or the channel for you. So, just letting you know that up front. So, what do you say we start this off with a nice bit of wonderful music? Sorry, I got caught up listening to that. Anyone else, whenever you hear that music, you kind of get a bit emotional? There's just something about this particular track, and this track is titled Vigil on the Mass Effect soundtrack. Some people mistake it as the theme. I do that myself sometimes and forget that this is not the actual theme of Mass Effect. but in some ways it feels like it because this plays at various certain kind of notable moments throughout the series. And there's just always been something very appealing to this very simple track of music. So right away, this screen is different. This is one of the very first things I notice is different from the original. This screenshot here is quite different. It did not look this good in the original. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. You can even see those lights are moving. This is not like a still screenshot. You can see various different little things on the planet here moving. Lights and such. Very nice touch. Sorry, again, that's just the nostalgia is hitting me. I love this series to death. I've played through it so many times. I go to this, to like this screen, I hear this music, and it's like visiting an old friend that you haven't seen in a long time, and you've missed them. You've missed this dear old friend that you haven't seen in a long time, and you want to get to just have fun with it again, So, obviously this is completely fresh, and of course the achievements are still here. I wonder if the buffs and such are still here, because this is one of the reasons you play through this game multiple times. You do these various different things here, and you end up getting certain kind of buffs and bonuses and such. One of the things that it encouraged you to do was, to be able to do stuff like that, and you would get a certain kind of bonus and such. One of the things I remember is that if you... Now this is more so for the Legendary Edition, be able to beat all 3 games with the same character and such. Kill this many enemies over all 3 games and such. But one of the things that I remember... Oh, did they... Actually, hold on. Looks like because... Okay, so there's a notable change they did to the leveling system in the first game. And it looks like they took away the achievements. It used to be, because the max level was 60 in the first game, if you got to, say, level 50, you got the achievement, you then got an extra 5 or 10% experience for all the experience you get in the game. And it was a nice way to kind of help you then on a repeat playthrough with that same character for you to get to the max level of 60. And if you got that achievement, you then got more XP, which would then go towards playing with alt characters. This game very much encouraged the idea of playing through this game multiple times on different characters, but also doing repeat runs on the same character. There was also achievements for playing through most of the game with the same companions in your squad. And it was like each achievement would give you a certain kind of buff. Like if you do these things here, you get some kind of buff for a certain type of damage and stuff like that. There was also like kill a certain amount of enemies with certain types of weapons, and you'll get some kind of buff from that. It looks like some of those achievements were removed. So here we go. Complete 5 missions with the Alliance Soldier, the Alliance Sentinel. So it used to be, these achievements used to say like complete like 75% of the game or such with this squad mate. And I would do certain runs in order to get the achievements with these characters. Like if I wanted to get the one for Liara, I would beeline straight for Liara before doing any side content. Then I would bring her along with me for like all the content for the rest of the game in order to get this achievement here. But it looks like they've changed how this works, so that's interesting. So, frame rate cap at 240. Just double checking, looks like Decent amount of the settings appear to be fine. Let's turn up the brightness a tad bit. I'm not going to mess with some of those. I, of course, did turn down the music a bit because possible copyright and all that. Something I've had to deal with for years on this channel, so including with this franchise. So this is one of the things I was talking about here. You can choose between classic mode or legendary mode. Classic mode is the original 1 to 60 experience from the original game. And then in 2 and 3, they had you leveled up to level 30. So the XP and talent points progression remains the same, but the number of levels is doubled. So, we're going to stick with the legendary mode, though, because I'm very curious how it's going to work and function as we play through this game. I know how it works in the other 2 games, because like I said, it's basically the same in those 2 games. But this particular game was unique in that regard. That's off because I like to be able to manage how I level my characters as well as my squad mates. And I want them to use their powers to help me out in combat, of course. Alright, I think we are ready to go. So, let's see how different this looks.
Welcome to Alliance Military Database. Classified information requested. Establishing secure connection. Secure connection confirmed.
Well, you can just immediately tell that things have been improved in this regard. That screen not only looked different, it ran so much better than it used to. Like I said, this game was rough around the edges when it came to how it ran. Like I said, that was always my impression of how it was. It's had its history with bugs and issues and such, and I've ran into numerous issues as well. But you can just tell right away that things are vastly improved when it comes to how this game functions and runs nowadays. So, we of course are going to be doing a new ID. So, as I already announced before, we are going to do a FemShep run this time. I've already done my canon male Shepard run before. It's already up on the channel if you want to see that. It was a Paragon male Shepard run as an engineer. All through all 3 games. So if you guys want to go see that, that's basically what I consider to be my canon male Shepard run. But as I've said, I've played this game multiple times, so I have like my own idea of certain types of canon characters that I've created over the years. And of course, I have my own intentions when it comes to a FemShep run. So this time we're going to change things up and we're going to do female Commander Shepard for a number of reasons. One of which, you can already see something very noticeable and different compared to the original version of this game. The thing is, the original version of this game, of course, had this default Commander Shepard. It always has. But the default female Commander Shepard didn't look all that great. They didn't necessarily have one. It was basically just go ahead and have this kind of somewhat default female, but you go to the custom and you would just kind of mess around with it. And in my opinion, it did not look very good. Then Mass Effect 3 came out, and they had created what they considered an ideal default female Commander Shepard appearance. So much so that they actually created a custom artwork on the cover of the disc version that you would pick up at the game that you could be able to flip around and have FemShep on the cover instead of male Shep. So, the other reason, because of that, we're basically going to be going through this with this new default female because they actually brought it over to this game, which I really like because I really like this default appearance for FemShep. Another reason is because she is voiced by Jennifer Hale, who I love dearly. She is wonderful. I've seen videos where she gets emotional thanking fans, and I've always loved voice actors and such that show that they care and like their fans, that they really appreciate the support the fans give them. And she's just so wonderful about it. So, much love to Jennifer Hale, and I want to show her some love by playing through the trilogy as FemShep, and you guys get to hear the wonderful voice of Jennifer Hale throughout.
Please log in to access your profile.
Do I want to stick with just the default name of Jane? I don't think so. Now, I've come up with different names for female Shepards that I've created over the years. I'm concerned about using certain names because I don't know. There's just in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, somebody with that name is going to chime in and go, hey, or people are going to think that it's related to somebody that I know personally. I don't necessarily like to use names of people that I know personally, like, or maybe there are names of, that I just like in general, or this is another aspect of me. In case I ever become a dad someday, I've been thinking, what would I name my kids? Because the thing is, I'm not very good when it comes to names. If you guys see the names of my characters in World of Warcraft, you'll probably notice that I have a tendency to have come up with some really bad names. So there is one name that does immediately pop into my mind that I think we all just like. Sometimes there are just certain names that we just like. We don't necessarily know why. We just kind of like them and we kind of gravitate towards those names. Like, So like one of the names I've always liked when, for just in general is Sarah. I don't know why. I've just always liked that name.
Warning, data corruption detected. Please
Gosh, this looks so much better.
confirm
Forgive me for gushing. You may hear me do that quite a bit. But when I see what is clearly work and effort put into a remaster, maybe not a remake, but a remaster, especially compared to how it used to look, I like to point it out. So anyways, you guys, of course, know these. If you don't, let's just say I did try to take the approach of trying to inform everyone about some of these things in my original run. So we're not necessarily going to go through all these. When it comes to my Paragon characters, I always gravitate towards the Spacer. It's usually the most heroic choice here, the most good guy choice. Plus, there's a couple things about this I've always liked. One, I like and relate to the background of you were moving around all the time, never staying in one location for more than a few years. I had a childhood that was very similar, so I know what that's like, moving around from place to place, never staying in one place all the time. We weren't in the military, but that was just something that happened a lot in my life. We were moving around a lot. So this is something I immediately gravitate and relate towards. The other thing I like about this background that you choose here is you actually get to communicate with your mom, Hannah Shepard. We actually get to speak to her a couple times. Once in this game, and once in the Citadel DLC for Mass Effect 3.
confirm psychological profile.
And then, of course, War Hero.
Confirm military specialization.
This choice here. I've wrestled with this choice a bit. So my canon male Shepard, male Paragon Shepard, was an engineer. You guys saw me go through the whole trilogy as an engineer. And I liked it. I really did. We're going to change things up this time. I've considered... the thing about Soldier, it's not bad. It's not that I dislike it, because I do like it, but I don't know, there's just been something about the idea of why would I play as a soldier when I can have other really cool abilities and such, It's kind of like the draw towards playing a biotic or a techie, It's like, I can have these cool abilities, so why would I just settle for a soldier where I can just use weapons and such? Now, that's not me, knocking on the soldier class. That's not my point. My point is that tends to be my kind of mentality, that when a game offers me the opportunity to play a class that has really cool abilities, I'm going to want to gravitate towards that as opposed to just the generic, non-powerful type of class. It's like in Warcraft, I'd much rather play a mage or a warlock compared to a warrior. That's just my thing. That's just the way my mind works and such. So I have contemplated mainly between Adept, not Infiltrator, because I'm basically saving that for our Renegade run. The Sentinel, which I've always thought was kind of interesting, but at times it also felt like it lacked punch. It's hard to, yeah. They're efficient at tech and biotics, but at the expense of combat. They wear light armor. They don't really have weapons training as such. So then there's this class. Now, in this game, it's not necessarily a big deal, but I will say this. Knock on Mass Effect 3 all you want. But the gameplay of Mass Effect 3, I may not have had a more fun time playing Mass Effect than in Mass Effect 3 because the gameplay was just so much fun. And partly because of the things they did with the classes. And Vanguard is one of those classes. When I saw it and played it and saw it in action in Mass Effect 3, my jaw dropped. Because it was just awesome. It was so much fun and it looked so cool. And I basically have been very much leaning towards playing Vanguard in this run. Like I said, I've contemplated playing a Sentinel, and I've considered also playing Adept. But honestly, my mind keeps going back to Vanguard, where I can be able to have biotics and specialize in shotguns. And of course, when we get to 3 and have our biotic charge, where we can just, warp right to somebody's face and shotgun them in the face.
Confirm facial identification.
So yeah, if you go to change appearance, you can still go to mess around with all the custom stuff here, scars, makeup, hair, and all that stuff. But as I said, I really like the default appearance here. So we're going to give the default appearance some love here. I've never really played through with this appearance. I've always made my own custom appearances, but we're going to go ahead and do that this time. So, are you guys ready for a Paragon FemShep run as a Vanguard? And just in case you're curious, for those of you asking, who are you going to romance? I'm telling you right now, my main FemShep romance is Garrus, because of course it is. And I've tried the other romances. A couple of them were kind of disappointing. Like, Jacob was absolutely horrible. Especially the way it ended up in 3. Thane, it was nice, but, it was so emotional, of course, when we get there. But the Thane romance is wonderful, even though it unfortunately has a bittersweet ending. Kaidan, though, I like Kaidan, but at the same time, I don't know. It's hard to put into words. There's just something about Kaidan that does not resonate with me as much as Garrus. Garrus is just awesome. He's my bro. And the romance that he has with FemShep is kind of wonderful and kind of adorable. Because we get to see Garrus both absolutely awesome and badass, but we also get to see this kind of very shy and bashful side to Garrus that we don't usually get to see, where he's very embarrassed and just kind of nervous and doesn't necessarily know what to do, or is not confident in what he's supposed to do, and it's just really adorable, So yeah, I don't think I'm actually gonna romance Kaidan in this run, but we are absolutely romancing Garrus in 2 and 3. Just letting you guys know that. Now, I could romance Kaidan in this game. However, as you guys probably know, if you do romance Kaidan in the first game and Garrus in the second game, and I've experienced this on my own off camera, when you meet him in the hospital on the Citadel in 3, he goes, "Was there something going on between you and Garrus?" And you just have this, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Kaidan." Now, it doesn't have a big blow up like I thought it might when I was first playing through the game. But it's still kind of one of those awkward moments where he calls you out on it. And it's just like, "Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry I cheated on you." It's part of the reason why... It's another reason why, I don't know, there's just something about, like, I have a tendency to want to stay loyal and such, unless there's, like, a particular reason. Like, I will say one of the cutest things to do is if you say have a romance with Tally in 2, but you romance like either Ashley or Liara in the first game, and you bring them with you on that mission where you infiltrate the Geth Dreadnought in the 3rd game, there will be kind of an awkward little conversation that happens when those two decide to bring up what's going on. Especially if at that point you decide to either romance Tally or romance either Liara or Ashley. Now, what's kind of nice is that they kind of like shake hands and like go, it's okay, I hope you two are happy together. Like Tally will be like, it's okay, Ashley or Liara, I hope you and Shepard will be happy together. And it's just kind of sweet in that regard. But yeah, if you're wondering, I haven't decided if I'm actually going to go ahead and romance Kaidan in this one. I am absolutely romancing Garrus, and we're sticking with Garrus by the end of the 3rd game. But, I don't know. I'll think about it. But what do you say we actually now... We're half an hour into this. I haven't even started the game yet. This will be just part 1. Me just kind of talking and rambling, giving you guys setup. Because, well, I mean... It's kind of expected that I would have this kind of discussion and talk, right?
Identification confirmed.
And of course, I already set this stuff up. Let's go.
Well, what about Shepard? She's a spacer, lived aboard starships most of her life.
Military service runs in the family. Both her parents were in the Navy.
She proved herself during the Blitz, held off enemy forces on the ground until reinforcements arrived.
She's the only reason Elysium is still standing.
We can't question her courage.
Humanity needs a hero, and Shepard's the best we've got.
I'll make the call.
This goes by fast, and I've already read through it in the original run I did for this, so you guys can pause it and read it yourself. They called it the greatest discovery in human history. The civilizations of the galaxy call it... Mass Effect.
The Arcturus Prime relay is in range. Initiating transmission sequence.
Commander?
Oh gosh, the nostalgia is hitting me, guys. It's hitting me.
We are connected. Calculating
Presley!
destination. The relay is hot. Acquiring approach vector.
It looks the same, but yet you can also tell it's different. For the better, though. In my opinion.
The board is green. Approach run has begun. Hitting the relay in 3, 2, 1.
Thrusters, check. Navigation, check. Internal emission sync engaged. All systems online. Drift, just under 1500K.
1500 is good. Your captain will be pleased.
Wow, Nihilus looks better.
I hate that guy.
Nihilus gave you a compliment, so you hate him.
You remember to zip up your jumpsuit on the way out of the bathroom? That's good. I just jumped us halfway across the galaxy and hit a target the size of a pinhead, so that's incredible. Besides, Spectres are trouble. I don't like having them on board. Call me paranoid.
You're paranoid. The Council helped fund this project. They have a right to send someone to keep an eye on their investment.
Yeah, that is the official story. But only an idiot believes the official story.
By the way, in case you're curious, we are going to be... in case I kind of didn't make it clear earlier, I'm also planning on keeping Kaidan alive on Vermeer. So, this time we're actually going to go ahead and sacrifice Ashley which makes me sad because I'm one of the few people in the world who does not hate Ashley. I know that sounds strange, but yes, I'm actually someone who actually likes Ashley. I've never jumped on the bandwagon of hating Ashley because I've never hated her. I've never disliked her. I've always liked her character. I like her voice actress as well. Kimberly Brooks, in my opinion, does a great job. Though it's worth noting no one has ever said they dislike Kimberly Brooks. They just don't like Ashley's character, which I don't agree with. I've always liked her character, but that's just me, I guess. I guess I'm just a weirdo. So anyways, gosh, don't the models just look better already? Can you just already tell the difference? When you go back and look at the original Mass Effect 1 and then look at this, I'm sorry, in my opinion, this looks so much better. And it runs so much better too. You can just see that they really tried to take their time to really give this game some polish when they were remastering it. And I love it. I love it. I'm sorry. I'll stop gushing. So hi, Seth Green. Good to see you. Seth Green will be many characters over his career, but for many of us, he'll always be Joker. Always. But then again, one of the things I've always loved about this franchise is that the voice acting cast has always been so nice. They've been such great people. There was a reunion recently of a lot of the people who are part of this voice acting cast, and it just seemed like they were just such great people who they've always loved their time doing this franchise and doing these characters, that they actually care about these characters. They were actually asked, like, hey, could you do the thing? Like, and they would do certain lines from their characters, and you can just tell that I love it when actors grow attached to their characters where they actually care about their characters, It's like, obviously Mark Hamill cares about the Joker, and he cares about Luke Skywalker and some of these other characters he's done. Peter Cullen, he cares about Optimus Prime, to the point where people have asked him to do it for things like Robot Chicken, he refused because he didn't want to do something that was kind of almost like a mockery of the character and such. It's just one of those kind of examples where I like it when an actor cares about the character that they play. And this cast, throughout all 3 games, they care. And it's something that I love and appreciate.
They don't send Spectres on shakedown runs.
So there's more going on here than the captain's letting on.
Joker, status report.
Just cleared the mass relay, Captain. Stealth systems engaged. Everything looks solid.
Good. Find a comm buoy and link us into the network. I want mission reports relayed back to Alliance Brass before we reach Eden Prime.
Aye, Captain. Better brace yourself, sir. I think Nihilus is headed your way.
He's already here, Lieutenant. Tell Commander Shepard to meet me in the comm room for a debriefing.
You get that, Commander?
I'm on my way.
Is it me or does the captain always sound a little pissed off?
Only when he's talking to you, Joker.
I remember going through these entries with you guys in the original run. I was basically trying to help break down some of the lore for you guys. The squad screen lets you view your team's talents. Mouse over talent or its rank to view it. Click on talent to spend a talent point to get a rank in it. As you gain levels, you acquire talent points and unlock higher ranks. So, one of the first things I always do in any run is put points into either Charm or Intimidate, depending on which run I'm doing. The thing is, guys, you don't necessarily, and this is a negative I will say about this game, is that it very much encourages you to go one way or the other. To not be like, I'm down the middle. Because then you deprive yourself of other certain types of dialogue options. You guys know what I'm talking about. It very much encourages you to go either full Paragon or full Renegade. Not this kind of in-between, kind of back and forth, because then you lose out on points and lose out on other things as well. So because we are going for a Paragon run in this, we are going to be going to add points into Charm right off the bat. We'll worry about some of this other stuff later on. And I'm very curious how this is going to work, because with our cap only at level 30 instead of 60, How is this gonna fill out? We shall see. We'll deal with the toggling of the helmets when we get on the surface. So, anyways. Wait, photo mode. Yes, we always gotta take a photo, right? Photo mode. So anyways, we have just gotten underway, and we will continue when we return. Stay tuned.